Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this will probably come as no shock to anybody out there, but another Star Wars project has been canceled, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, in an absolute era under Kathleen Kennedy about how many projects we've had announced and then never come to fruition and just quietly canceled behind the scenes, with directors and writers all being fired and leaving and moving on to other projects. Boys and girls, a lot of people consider Star Wars a dead franchise, and of course Disney is the one that killed it, putting Kathleen Kennedy in charge, which of course was George Lucas's own actual wish as well. And well, now we see what kind of disastrous dumpster fire that has turned into. It's literally turned a brand that hadn't released movies, wouldn't release movies for decades, and still would be one of the #1 merchandising brands in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, something that they bought for over $3 billion has now turned into something that they cannot even get anybody to watch their shows. And guess what? They certainly can't get anybody to show up to their movies anymore either. By the way, how did the Han Solo movie work out there for them? That's right, as our dear sweet Jeremy says, Solo lost money, and now it looks like, boys and girls, we've got another movie canceled, and there's a very good possibility this is absolutely the Rey movie that was announced not too long ago out there. And boys and girls, that is just absolutely hilarious to think about and watch the disastrous dumpster fire that Disney Star Wars has turned into. What could have been arguably the #1 merchandising brand in the world, boys and girls, especially in science fiction, has now turned into an absolute shell of itself, all because Kathleen Kennedy wanted to make it all about wham and power and her own personal self-inserts. And it looks like now we've got one more disastrous dumpster fire that has been canned. So we're going to check out this article from Variety.com, getting all of the juicy details of exactly what's going on and what it's been replaced with as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Do you believe it's the Rey movie that's been canceled? Do you believe that movie will never come to fruition in any way, shape, or form? Or do you think it's something else that they had announced out there that is now going to be completely and totally ripped away from all of the fans out there? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. All right, from Variety.com and Katie Stephen. Disney removes Star Wars movie from 2026 slate, replaced by Ice Age 6. Oh yes, color us shocked there, because we know Disney has no original ideas left because they ran off all of their actual good creatives in case for the indoctrination woke cult out there. And now we're getting Ice Age 6. Yay! Disney has removed an untitled Star Wars film previously scheduled for December 18th, 2026 from its release calendar. Ice Age 6 will move into its spot. Oh, color us shocked there. And the funniest part about all of this as well is the fact that, like, literally this is why they don't actually put names to these projects, because if it was, they'd have to admit that the Rey movie was essentially canceled, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the last thing they want, because Disney Star Wars, for some insane reason, believes that Rey is the face of the Star Wars brand and their only reliable asset out there. Wow, talk about not understanding the fandom in any way, shape, or form. While it was never confirmed exactly what this project would be, Sharmon Aboud-Chinoy was previously announced as the director of an upcoming Star Wars film following Daisey Ridley's Rey. And this is one of the things, this is one of those situations where they hired somebody based on identity politics, not actual credentials in any way, shape, or form, because the only thing Sharmon Aboud-Chinoy has done prior to getting announced as this is a couple of documentaries in the Middle East over how women are treated, ladies and gentlemen. No sci-fi credits, no television credits, nothing but a couple of documentaries. But because she fixed all the check boxes, Kathleen Kennedy hired her, only to have Bob Iger probably go, this isn't going to work out very well in any way, shape, or form. And so now, of course, the Star Wars movie has now been removed from the slate. So the film lost to screenwriter Stephen Knight earlier this year after Damon Lindelof, Justin Britson previously departed the project. I mean, this has been nothing. This Rey movie has been plagued with nothing but problems. It's almost as bad as the Blade movie over there at Disney Marvel, boys and girls. I honestly don't believe this Rey movie is ever going to happen. And holy cow, the egg that will be on the face of Disney Star Wars after you trotted our dear sweet Daisey Ridley out there on the stage and was like, yeah, we're making a movie with her. It's going to be great. She's back. Yay, yay, yay. After you took her to lunch, after you sold her on this idea out there, and now she's back. Well, now you're just going to end up having this blow up in your face, because guess what? She's not getting any younger, boys and girls. And don't get me wrong, she still looks fine as all get out that there, especially that backside. But at the end of the day, this isn't going to end up panning out very well, especially if you're trying to make this like pick up immediately afterwards the last movie, The Rise of Palpatine, out there that all the way, by the way, boys and girls, lost the Disney Star Wars brand hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office because that thing had a budget of $650 million after all of the insane reshoots and all the other disastrous dumpster fires that happened behind the scene. So yeah, needless to say, I don't think Bob Iger's really looking to spend that kind of money on something else that's going to flop. So Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy said at last year's Star Wars celebration that the Ridley's new film would follow Rey as she builds a new Jedi Order. Well, it looks like that's not going to happen anytime soon. And of course, as Variety points out, we already talked about this, but it wouldn't be the first time a potential entry in the beloved space opera franchise ended before it began. New installments from director Patty Jenkins, Marvel producer Kevin Feige, The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson, and Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss have been announced over the years, but none ever came to fruition. You forgot Taika Waititi as well. You know, the guy that destroyed Thor as a character? Yeah, that guy's Star Wars movie ain't happening either. The next Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian Grogu, from the Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian Grogu from director Jon Favreau, is scheduled to premiere in May of 2026. I mean, we've still got like another year and a half before this comes out. And you remember how like Disney initially planned to do like a Star Wars movie every other year? Yeah, after you lose hundreds of millions of dollars, I mean, honestly, billions of dollars on a Star Wars franchise, yeah, that didn't pan out very well for them whatsoever. Another untitled Star Wars film remains on the slate for December 17th, 2027. And yeah, that's probably not going to happen in any way, shape, or form. And now, of course, Ice Age 6 was in production and is now done enough to where it can end up being released and has now taken the Star Wars spot. Yes, Ice Age 6. Ladies and gentlemen, so color us shocked there. Star Wars is essentially a dead franchise, and Disney's Kathleen Kennedy is the one that's done it. Of course, you can also blame Dave Filoni, which I wholeheartedly do. I cannot stand Dave Filoni. I know there's some Filoni simps of you out there, but I can't stand him, and I hold him just as responsible as Kathleen Kennedy, but for the most part. But at the end of the day, this should not come as a shock to anybody out there. Disney Star Wars has been plagued with announcements after quiet cancellations, after quiet cancellations, after quiet cancellations. This is not something that should come as a surprise to anybody out there, and the fact that there's a very good possibility this is the Rey movie means that if we ever do get that movie, it will be absolute years, and this has turned into nothing more than another egg on the face of Disney Star Wars, and they deserve to be called out and ridiculed for it because Disney Star Wars is in a disastrous dumpster fire of a place, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. And at least, boys and girls, for this good sake out there, they won't be wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on their next disastrous box office bomb that we will get to laugh and ridicule at, just like we have done with everything else Disney Star Wars. And guess what? They did it to themselves, and they get exactly what they deserve.